This is the final chapter of the most illustrious career in racing, and Winks completes the lineup. The red light is on, and the crowd are ready to send her off, and the gates open. They're off in the Queen Elizabeth. Massive roar to the crowd. She's going to settle in last, Winks. Today we farewell an Australian icon, the greatest of all time. Winks wins a third. Queen Elizabeth beats Kluger.
Yeah, what an occasion. Winks' finale last week at Randwick, and on track for us was Brad Gray. Brad joins us now. Brad, just being there, pretty special, eh?
Yeah, good morning, Aidan. You're right. A week on, and listening to that audio, you still get the goosebumps, don't you? Special day for a special horse. So she certainly got the send-off that she deserved.
Yeah, exactly. And geez, you were on form last weekend. I think you tipped us out a couple of decent ones at big prices too. So well done. Let's hope you can do it again for us. A couple of Group 1 races there today. How's the build-up been to this weekend?
Yeah, well, it's obviously hard to come back from when you've got something like Winks the weekend before, but I really like this day. I've always been a bit of a fan of the All-Age, and the Champagne's a bit of a lost race, but it can throw up the odd good one. So I think it's a really good punting day, to be honest. There's a couple in there at big odds that hopefully we can find. And as you know, no matter if they're Group 1s, they're benchmark races, they all pay the same. So for us punters, we're buttering up again.
Yeah, Loving Gabby comes up a 240 favourite in the Champagne Stakes ahead of Castle Vecchio at 350. But we've seen in past years the 1600 metre form has stacked up into 3-year-old careers. In this race, how have you assessed the form?
Yeah, the size does look the race. I know that's stating the bleeding obvious. 25 of the past 31 winners of the Champagne have come through the size. So not surprisingly, those coming out of it are at the top of the market, headed by Loving Gabby. I'm a little bit surprised that Loving Gabby is such a firm favourite here, because I'm firmly in the corner of Castel Vecchio. Looking at that size replay, he made a really big run between the 400 and 200 metres. He actually made 3.5 lengths up in the space of 200 metres, and then he was a month between runs, so he just felt the pinch that last 200 metres and actually ran near an identical last 200 metre split. So with that run under his belt, he profiles like a horse who's going to absolutely love 1,600 metres and potentially get out to a Derby trip as a 3-year-old. I think he's the one that's got more upside here, and given there was so little between them there in the sires, I think he's the easy one to find. And as I said, I'd be very surprised if that market is the same come closer to jump. I think that'll really tighten up.
Yeah, exactly. We only have to think back to his win in the $2 million race, the Millennium at Warwick Farm, to know what he's capable of. He stepped up and been really competitive in Group 1. Is Loving Gabby the main danger? Is it a race in 2, or is there something outside those?
No, I do think it looks pretty much a race in 2. The other one that comes out of the size is Crystal Falls, but she's a filly that showed absolutely no gate speed out there, so I find it hard for a horse to be giving a horse like Castel Vecchio a head start and run it down. If you're looking for one to throw in at big odds, probably throw in Persan. I know it fell there last start, and you're taking a horse on the quick backup 7 days later, having fallen, but David Payne wouldn't be running it here if it didn't come through that well. And it's always been a horse with a little bit of talent. The colt by Piero, really well bred, of course I can. So plenty of blue blood running through its veins. So it might be the one to surprise, a little bit of odds, but I'd be really surprised if the winner did come from Castel Vecchio and Loving Gabby.
We showed Sunline's win, and I think we're going back many years into the All-Age Stakes, 2000, that you won it twice. So it has been a good horses race over the years, the All-Age Stakes. This year we've got a sort of cracking top to the race anyhow, with the likes of Osborne Bulls and Pirata and Le Romain and company. We've got Osborne Bulls as a 250 favourite. Where does this horse sort of fit in the way that you've assessed the market?
I think he's very short, to be honest. He's drawn 1, so he's going to have a little bit of traffic problems. And the scratching of the stablemate Homer the Brave, which is a little bit surprising. I thought this race set up really well for him. He's in the Hallmark instead, which is the race afterwards. It takes out a lot of speed. So I think it's going to set up for something to be a little bit closer to the pace. You'll have Manual and Le Romain rolling all out in front. And that creates a little bit of a query if Osborne Bull's drawn one and probably going to be flopping out the bag. It was interesting, James Cummings was on radio in Australia this morning and said maybe the reason he wasn't so dynamic in the TG is we rode him a pair closer. And I know that sounds funny given he was still settling 10th or 9th in a field of 11, but that suggests to me that they're going to ride him stone cold. So he's going to have a big task ahead of him. You've got the other Godolphin runner in there who is the international Debay. Now, this horse has big raps on him. He always has coming out of the Canterbury quarantine. Funnily enough, they've always maintained that this has been the main horse they've brought over. The Doobie, who disappointed in the Cup last week, the Sydney Cup, was kind of talked about as a little bit of a second stringer. So it'll be really interesting to see how this bloke goes. Again, he's another back marker. So it's going to set up probably not ideally for him. So the horse that I'm with is Le Romain. He's a really honest type of horse. He's just going to get out in front, give his all. He's drawn wide, but he'll come across and sit outside Manual. I don't think there's a lot of tempo here. He's run second in this race the last 2 years straight. So I see him fitting into this race really well. And if you want to play him each way, I can see him certainly being in the money.
Outside that, we've got New Zealand interest in the Frank Packer Plate. What about the 3-year-olds? What's your choice in this?
Yeah, this is another race where I think we can go looking for a little bit of value. Carriff for the Snowden camp. Now, the Tulloch Stakes has obviously looked a very good form reference already because this horse ran fourth in that. He got out the back and hit the line. He didn't look all that comfortable on the heavy ground, but still made late inroads into the subsequent Derby Quinella. So we see out the front there, Angel of Truth, and of course Madison County came out and ran 1-2 in the Derby. So the form is rock solid. I think back on top of the ground, he's going to really show his turn of foot. He's a horse I don't think we've seen anywhere near the best of quite yet. So I like those horses that are still on upward spiral. Karen McAvoy sticks, and there's a bit of confidence coming out of the Snowden camp that this bloke's a horse of the future. So you might just be catching him a little bit early before the market jumps on and realises how talented this bloke is. I think we can keep following him. And again, he's another one at each way odds, and I think he's a great price.
Okay, the chosen one, can he pull this one off?
Yeah, he's certainly in the race, isn't he? If there was a little bit more tempo in the ATC Derby, he might have been the winner of the race. He just kept trying down the outside. The query for me here is probably 24 back to 2,000 metres. Whether a couple of these just leave him a little bit flat-footed, but there'll be no horse probably hitting the line harder. It's just whether he's going to be sharp enough for me back to the 2,000 metres. Okay,
so Castlevecchio, your best, Brad, and who are the others you're really liking?
Yeah, very keen on Castlevecchio in the Champagne. I think it's a race thin on genuine winning chances, and he's the best of them. Carriff, I'm very keen to play him in the Frank Packer Plate, as we touched on, race 3, number 5. And we'll save one for last. Race 8, Easy Eddie, race 8, number 5. This is a horse in career best form. I don't think he's ever gone better. And over the next 12 months or so, I think he's going to turn into a genuine Group 1 horse. So again, he's another horse that I just can't see missing. So if you play him each way, you should be getting money back or a decent result.
Makes sense to me. Thanks again for your help and giving us and finding us winners, Brad, and best of luck with racing the Champagne Stakes Day, All Age Stakes Day, coming out of Sydney today.